Hi. So, in a new book today. This book is called If I Ran the Zoo by Dr. Seuss. If I Ran the Zoo. It's a pretty good zoo, said young Gerald McGrew, and the fellow who runs it seems proud of it too. There's a lion in there. But if I ran the zoo, said young Gerald McGrew, I'd make a few changes. That's what I'll do. The lions and tigers and that kind of stuff they have set up here now are just not quite good enough. You see things like this in just any old zoo. They're awfully old-fashioned. I want something new. Well, what do you think will be in there? I'd open each cage. I'd unlock every pen. I'd let the animals go and start over again. And somehow or another, I think I could find some beasts of a much more unusual kind. Let all the animals out. Oh no! What's gonna happen now? Let's see. A 4-footed lion's not that much of a beast. The one in my zoo will have 10 feet at least. Wow. 5 legs on the left and 5 more on the right. Then people will stare and they'll say, what a sight! The new keeper Gerald's quite keen. That's the goldarnest lion I have ever seen. Wow, look at that lion. It's got 10 feet. What? 10 feet. My new zoo, McGrew Zoo. Some people will talk. My new zoo, McGrew Zoo, will make people gawk at the strangest odd creatures that ever did walk. I'll get for my zoo a new sort of hen who roosts in another hen's top knot, and then another one roosts in the top knot of his, and another in his, and another in his, and so forth, and upward and onward. Gee whiz! I'm sorry, hi. But that's just the start. I'll do better than that. They'll come see me next day in my zookeeper's hat, coming into my zoo with an elephant cat. They'll be so surprised, they'll all swallow their gum. They'll ask when they see my strange animals come, where do you suppose he gets these things from? His animals have such very odd faces. I'll bet he must hunt them in rather odd places. Elephant cat. And that's what I'll do, said young Gerald McGrew. If you want to catch beasts you don't see every day, you have to go to places quite out of the way. You have to go to places no others can get to. You'll have to get cold and you'll have to get wet too. Up past the North Pole where the frozen winds squeal, I'll go and I'll hunt in my Skeagol-mobile and bring back a family of what do you know? And that's how my new zoo, McGrew Zoo, will grow. I'll hunt in the mountains of Zomba-Ma-Tant with helpers who all wear their eyes at a slant, and capture a fine fluffy bird called the bustard, who only eats custard with sauce made of mustard, and also a very fine beast called a flustered, who only eats custard who only eats mustard with a sauce made of custard. I'll catch him in caves, and I'll catch him in brooks, and I'll catch him in crannies, and I'll catch him in nooks that you don't read about in your geography books. I'll catch him in countries that no one can spell. The country of Madafa Padafa Pel. In a country like that, if a hunter is clever, he'll hunt up some beasts that you never saw ever. Wow, look at that. I'll load up 5 boats with a family of jotes, whose feet are like cows but wear squirrel skin coats, and sit down like dogs and have voices like goats, excepting they can't sing the very high notes. Wow, look at all those. And then I'll go down to the wildest of Nantucket and capture a family of the lunks in a bucket. Then people will say, "Now I like that boy heaps. His new zoo, McGrew Zoo, is growing by leaps. He captures them wild and captures them meek. He captures them slim and he captures them sleek. What do you suppose he will capture next week?" I'll capture one tiny, I'll capture one cute. I'll capture a deer that no hunter would shoot. A deer that's so nice he could sleep in your bed if it weren't for those horns that he has on his head. Look at his deer. Wow. It's the McGrew Zoo. And speaking of horns that are just a bit queer, I'll bring back a very odd family of deer. A father, a mother, 2 sisters and brother, whose horns are connected from one to the other, whose horns are so mixed they can't tell them apart, can't tell where they end and can't tell where they start. Each deer is mighty puzzled. He's never yet found if his horns are hers or the other way around. It's a lot of horns. I'll capture them fat and I'll capture them scrawny. I'll capture a scragglefoot mulligatawny from the blistering sands of the desert of Zend. This beast is the beast that the brave chieftains ride, and when they want to go fast, to go someplace to hide. A mulligatawny is fine for my zoo, and so is a chieftain. I'll bring back one too. Oh, goodness. Look at that. In the far western part of southeast North Dakota lives a very fine animal called the Iwota. I'll capture one who's even much finer in the northeastern west part of South Carolina. When people see him, they will say, "Now, by thunder, this new zoo, McGrew Zoo, is really a wonder." Most beasts are quite friendly, but still in some lands, some beasts are too dangerous to catch with bare hands. For those that are ugly and vicious and mean, I'll build a bad animal catching machine. It's rather expensive to build such a kit, but with it a hunter can never get bit. A zoo should have bugs. I'll capture a thwirl whose legs are snarled up in a terrible snarl. And then I'll go out and capture some chugs. Some keen shooter, mean shooter, bean shooter bugs. Oh, look at those. Look at those bugs. I'll go to the African Isle of Zurka and bring back a tizzle-topped tuft mazurka, a kind of canary with quite a tall throat. His neck is so long, if he swallows an oat for breakfast the first day of April, they say, it has to go down such a very long way that it gets to his stomach the 15th of May. Now look at that long throat he has. I'll bag a big bug who is very surprising, a fellow who has a propeller for rising and zooming around, making cross-country hops from Texas to Boston with only 2 stops. Now that sort of thing happens for a bug that is just tops. And when I've caught him, then the next thing you know, I'll go and capture a wild tic-tac-toe with the X that win, with zeros that lose. He'll look mighty good in this zoo of McRuse. That's the wild tic-tac-toe. I'll bring back a gusset, a gherkin, a gasket, who's a gooch from the wildest of Nantasket, and 8 Persian princes that will carry the basket. But their names are, I don't know, so don't ask it. In a cavern of Khartoum lives a beast called the Natch that no other hunter has been able to catch. He's hidden for years in his cave with a pout, and no one's been able to make him come out. But I'll coax him with a wonderful meal that's cooked by my cooks in my cookermobile. They'll fix up a dish that is just to his taste, 3 chicken croquettes made of library paste, then sprinkled with peanut shucks, pickled and spiced, and baked at 600 degrees and then iced. It's mighty hard cooking to cook up such a feast, but that's how the new zoo, McRuse Zoo, gets beasts. I'll go to the faraway mountains of Topsk, near the river of Novsk, and I'll bring back an Obsk, a sort of kind of a thingamabusk, bosk, that only eats rhubarb and corn on the Kopsk. Then people will flock to my zoo in a mosque. The guru, they will say, does a wonderful jobsk. He hunts with such vim and he hunts with such vigor. His new zoo, McRuse Zoo, gets bigger and bigger. And speaking of birds, there's the Russian Paluski. His head ski is red ski and his belly is blue ski. I'll get one of them for my Zooski McGrewski. Almost done, almost done. Then the whole town will gasp, why, this boy never sleeps. No keeper before ever kept what he keeps. There's no telling what that young fellow will do. And then just to show them, I'll sail to Catrue and bring them back. And it cuts a preep and a prue, a nurgle, a nerd, and a sea sucker too. I'll hunt in the jungles of Hippo Nohungus and bring back a flock of wild Bippo Nobungus. The Bippo Nobungus and Hippo Nohungus are better than those down in Dippo Nodungus. It's smarter than those in Nippo Nonungus. That's why I'll catch them in Hippo Nohungus. Instead of those in Nungus and Dungus, the people will say when they see the bibs bounding, the zookeeper, new keeper is simply astounding. He travels so far you would think he would drop. When do you suppose this young fellow will stop? Stop? Well, I should, but I won't stop until I've captured the Fizzamanwizza Mandil, the world's biggest bird from the Isle of Gwark, who only eats pine trees and spits out the bark. And boy, when I get him back home in my park, the whole world will say, young McGrew's made his mark. He's built a zoo better than Noah's whole ark. These wonderful, marvelous beasts that he chooses have made him the greatest of all the McGrewses. Wow, they'll all cheer. What the zoo must be worth. It's the gold darnest zoo on the face of the earth. Wow, look at all that. Everybody's going to see his new zoo. Yes, that's what I'll do, said young Gerald McGrew. I'd make a few changes if I ran the zoo. The end.